Hi guys, today we're going to be covering the last of the certificate level exams. I would probably recommend that you sit them in the order in which I've filmed and released these videos as well, because this exam trips a lot of people up. In parts of it, it is essential knowledge. So, with that in mind, how does someone who is numerically inclined, so much so that they've decided to become an accountant, learn law? To combat this exam, you are going to have to learn how to write, to communicate and to memorize long sentences and very difficult and complex topics. Law consists of case studies of famous law cases and legal cases, and also consists of lots of questions in the question bank. I remember feeling extremely confident because I had done a little bit of law in terms of ancient law when I had done classics at university, and I thought, well, this is the sort of thing that I did at university, I'm going to be fine at this. And I went to that exam thinking I'd absolutely smashed it, and I scraped a pass. Scraped it. I was shocked in the morning to find that I'd barely passed. But a pass is a pass, and there are no grades in these exams, so just try and get a pass, guys. So this exam I found particularly tricky, and I was very lucky to scrape a pass because it is a difficult exam that can trip you up all the time. Law is a tricky subject. That's why we have highly paid lawyers, no doubt. And it's something that probably doesn't appeal to a lot of you, because probably a lot of you looked at law and decided against law, and instead chose to go down a numerical path. And good for you, you made the right decision. However, you are going to have to learn what they do, in the same way that a lot of them will have to learn what we do as accountants. In order to cover the law, you are going to have to learn to read through their case studies, read through what tort means, read through what the UK law system is. Now, this can throw a lot of people off in the same way that the Principles of Taxation exam threw me off, which is I'm studying in the Isle of Man and all our laws are different, as are our tax rules. So I had to learn a bunch of English law, which was extremely irrelevant to me, unfortunately. But learning that teaches you a new skill. It's definitely a new skill. Law, the way that your brain works when talking about legal issues is very different to that when talking about tax. However, these things all intertwine. Getting your accounts to be true and fair is a legal issue. Making sure that your tax return is honest is a legal issue. So all these things do combine. And as accountants, you'll find that you spend a lot of time consulting on what the law is about something without being a lawyer yourself. Now, the most important thing to take from this for your own personal life is to know when to see a lawyer. Just because you have a certificate level exam in law does not make you a lawyer, and I cannot express this clearly enough. Some of the people in my classes really overstepped what they thought they were able to do. You are definitely not a solicitor if you pass the certificate level exam, although you do have a fair bit of background knowledge into what they know. However, I would not overestimate your own competence in this area. That aside, how are we going to pass the law exam? Well, number one, this is not a skills-based exam. Therefore, it is mostly about memorization and understanding the underlying principles. When it comes to that, the best thing to do is perhaps the Feynman technique, which is to try and teach it to someone else. This shows your own understanding. If you can communicate it clearly and make it understandable to someone else, you probably have a fairly good grasp on what the actual subject is and know a fair amount about it. Another technique to do is to simply do as many questions as possible, guys. Do a question bank from start to finish. I think I did it twice and I scraped a pass. This is a lot of content to stuff into a week. A lot of content. Therefore, don't be afraid to push back your exam if you feel like you're probably going to fail. So once you've really learned the content and you can teach anyone how to do this law, what should you do next? Well, you should do as much question practice as possible, and you should try to do a mock exam. Once you've done a couple mock exams, you may feel very confident in yourself, and once you feel very confident in your ability to answer these questions, and you've gone through so much of the question bank that you're starting to recognise the same questions over and over again, I think it's time for you to sit this exam. Sit it and pass it. You'll pass it just by remembering a lot of the key concepts, applying them to the questions. You will recognise quite a few questions with just a few names changed, and therefore you'll be able to get a comfortable pass with this exam. This is a tough one, guys, so please do take your time with it. Okay, I hope that's been helpful to you all. I hope that you think that this is absolutely possible for you to pass this exam. It is tough, and by this point, hopefully you have 5 out of 6 or all 6 of your certificate level exams, and you're now moving on to the professional level stage or year 2 of your ICAEW ACA journey. Thank you for watching, guys. Be sure to watch the rest of my YouTube videos on this subject. I will be going into the professional level now and talking about how to pass those exams.